Some breaking news now because the new Conservative leader, Kimmy Badenoch, has announced her new shadow cabinet. Mari's here. So, who are the runners and riders?
OK, so lots and lots that have been announced so far. Let me take you through them. So the ones we already knew, Mel Stride, Shadow Chancellor. So he'll be facing off Rachel Reeves at the dispatch box. Next up, Chris Philp. He's now the Shadow Home Secretary. Chris Philp used to be a policing minister under Rishi Sunak. So that is really interesting that he's now gone up in the ranks in his party, albeit in opposition. Priti Patel, as we were saying earlier, confirmed to be the Shadow Foreign Secretary, a massive comeback for her after a bit of a tricky time, perhaps on the back benches. And then also Shadow Defence Secretary James Cartledge. Now, defence is often an area in which the Tories normally feel relatively confident. So that's interesting that they've chose James Cartledge. Let me talk you through a few of the others as well. So Shadow Health Secretary Ed Agar, Shadow Education, as we've heard yesterday, Laura Trott, Shadow Business, Andrew Griffith. Now, that's interesting because there was a lot of talk about whether he might be Shadow Chancellor. Oh, there we go, we've got more on our screen there. And look, you've got the leadership rival Robert Jenrick confirmed to be Shadow Justice Secretary as well. Also, Helen Whately, she's Shadow Work and Pensions Secretary. And interesting, look at that. Victoria Atkins is the Shadow...
Environment.
What does that say on the screen?
Food and Rural Affairs.
There we go, yes, DEFRA. Now, that's interesting because Victoria Atkins did not support Kimmy Badenoch in the leadership race. She supported Robert Jenrick quite vocally. She was often the kind of One Nation poster girl that was considered to be a justification for why Robert Jenrick could unite different sections of the party, even though he was considered a bit of a right-winger. So that's interesting that she's gone. A bit of a demotion for her, but nonetheless, she's still in the Shadow Cabinet, so you can't really complain. Interestingly, look at this. Claire Coutinho, she stays as Shadow Energy Secretary. She was Energy Secretary under Rishi Sunak. You have this little group of people, Laura Trott, Claire Coutinho, they were both around Rishi Sunak, big supporters of Rishi Sunak. Also, Alan Mack, Andrew Bowie, big supporters of Kimmy Badenoch. They've both got Shadow Cabinet roles. Alan Mack is the Shadow Science and Tech Secretary. Andrew Bowie, who we had on the programme just yesterday, wasn't it? He is now Shadow Scottish Secretary. Then for the other devolved nations, we have Alex Burghart for Shadow Northern Ireland Secretary, and also Mims Davies for Shadow Welsh Secretary as well.